The gorillas range throughout the volcanoes, and it is part of the research at Karasoke to make daily checks on the whereabouts and welfare of 3 of the groups. One of these, of which Peanuts is the leader, is on Mount Karasimbe at a height of almost 13,000 feet. Peanuts, who from that first magical encounter with Diane went on to become a silverback, is with his group in the subalpine zone. Here the vegetation is completely different. Some of the plants are giant, lobelias and senecias, which may at lower altitudes be tiny, here grow to 10 or 12 feet high. This is a difficult place to track gorillas because they don't leave much of a trail. So unless it's known roughly where they were the day before, there may be little hope of finding them at all. An outstanding tracker for many years, Name Alphonse, accompanied by Alan Goodall, hopes to find Peanuts and his group.
We've just found the night nests where they slept last night, so let's go and have a closer look. It may seem a strange habit, but gorillas always defecate inside their nests. We're not sure whose nest this is, but judging by some of the hairs here, it looks as though it could be the nest of the silverback. All we've got to do now is find today's trail and follow that to where they are. Tigendi.
Normally, from the night nests, there's a trail of broken plant material and fresh dung leading to the gorillas. But if they don't want to be seen, they can blend silently into the vegetation.
Although we're just south of the equator, it can be quite cold up here because we're at an altitude of about 4,000 meters. It's a popular misconception that the gorillas have been forced up into these higher altitudes by human pressure from down below. But actually they've evolved up here in these mountains and are very well adapted. Their coats, their hairs are much thicker than those of lowland gorillas. They come up here to feed on the giant senecio vegetation and the giant lobelias. Normally, they only spend a few days up here feeding on this vegetation. But what's so unusual about this group is that they've been up here for over a month.
The reason Peanuts had stayed up high for so long indicated something was seriously wrong. It was probably because he was ill and did not have the energy to move his group back down the mountain again. Although the star of that first memorable contact with Diane Fossey, he has spent a life marked by illness or infection, which began with a terrible injury to the eye and face received in a fight in 1971, when he was only 10 years old. Peanuts has an unusual group with only 7 animals in it, and 6 of those are males, with 1 female who will not reach sexual maturity for another 2 years. For some reason, Peanuts was never very successful in either attracting females or keeping them, and so far as is known, he has no offspring. Normally, guerrilla groups move frequently enough to avoid serious impact on any one patch of vegetation. But with peanuts more or less static, the giant synaceas are beginning to show signs of wear. These plants are very old and regenerate slowly, but it is the odd behavior of peanuts that is causing his group to restrict themselves to this one small area. Although all the guerrilla groups range through different zones, some show a preference for certain food plants. Two of the regularly contacted groups spend much of their time near the border of the park and have been known to wander outside its boundaries. Managing the conservation area includes an important plan to build a fence to keep animals in and people out. It is a huge, ambitious undertaking, and one which will only succeed through the dedication of the Rwandan conservator, Canisius Shadambere, and of the Mountain Gorilla Project headed by Craig Sholly.
Bon travail ici avec la clôture. Et tout le monde connaît que nous avons le problème avec les groupes 9 et le groupe 13 qui se trouvent juste à côté du parc. Et je voudrais savoir si nous pouvons continuer le travail de la clôture avec les gens de la région.
Ça, on va pouvoir continuer parce que, vous voyez, la clôture n'est pas très solide. Hein? On va pouvoir continuer à renouveler tout le temps.
Très bien, magnifique. OK, on va discuter autre problème.
The fence prevents gorillas and other animals such as buffalo from damaging crops, and it also deters people from entering the park to cut firewood or to poach antelope. Rwanda is densely populated, so there is great pressure on the land, particularly here near the volcanoes, where the soil is so rich. Many of these local people may never see the gorillas that live on their doorsteps, and it's difficult to know how to convince them that they should not use the park's land to grow the crops they need to feed their families. How can they understand why the gorillas should have so much land when they have so little? And explanations are not made easier by the presence of the foreign-owned pyrethrum plantation that took 4/10 of parkland for the production of insecticides. Yet in spite of all that, many Rwandese do believe in their park and have on occasion responded generously in their support of its conservation. And the policy of the government is to conserve all the national parks. Craig Sholly believes very strongly in supporting the needs of the people and striking a balance between them and conservation. But there is no room for error with a tiny population of mountain gorillas living in such close proximity to people. It is a conservation question that is becoming all too familiar throughout the world. The future of the natural land and all the animals and plants that live there teeters on a knife edge. It is totally in our hands.
This particular part of the forest is an interesting place. 4 years ago, there were cattle grazing here. It was part of a cattle project used by the Rwandan government. A year before that, there were gorillas ranging here. Realizing the importance of the forest to the gorillas, we convinced the local community to donate the land back to the park. Now gorillas are ranging in this area again. 55 hectares have been reclaimed.
Such positive conservation steps offer a glimmer of hope for the remaining 400 or so mountain gorillas. The bamboo that was cut will regenerate. More bamboo shoots. For some groups, a favorite food. The gorillas are remarkably consistent in their taste. Most of the diet consists of foliage of herbs, vines and shrubs, which are available all the year round. Of all the important food plants, only bamboo shoots are seasonal. But when they are available, the gorillas gorge themselves. An adult female will eat about 40 pounds in a day, but an adult silverback, twice the size, will put away an incredible 75 pounds of food. It is no wonder that gorillas have pot bellies and occasional digestive problems. Feeding is broken by frequent rest periods, which may be prolonged when the usual mist is broken by either sunshine or rainstorms. This is a good time for socializing.
Today we're on the slopes of Mount Karasimbi. This is the range of the Sousa group. As far as we know, it's the largest group of mountain gorillas in the world. Yesterday there were 29, today there are 30.
In all the years that people have been studying mountain gorillas, no one has ever fully observed a birth. So it's a very rare privilege indeed to see a baby so young, maybe only 2 or 3 hours old. The umbilical cord is still attached, and the fur is not yet dry.
The birth of this new baby came as quite a surprise to me this morning. In addition to this female, there are several other females in the group that may be potentially pregnant. Also, there are 2 large adult silverbacks, both of whom share leadership responsibilities. But in the future, there may be a dilemma. Because of that, the group may split. We sit back and wait and watch the dynamics of the group and wonder what will happen.
The tenderness between mother and newborn infant is obvious. It is not her first baby. She is experienced and quite high-ranking in the group. That will increase the new infant's chances of survival. At least 1/3 of all babies die within the first few months of their lives because of weakness or disease. A first-time mother can lose her baby by not being able to produce enough milk. Happily, though, there is no such problem for this one. The silverback will protect infants and females from obvious sources of danger, but the mother has to be protective too. New infants attract a lot of attention from the other gorillas, and if she is not careful, the baby can be injured or killed through rough handling by curious or playful members of the group. They may only want to touch the baby, but even that is just not allowed.